Madhav's Great Dream. In a small sun-drenched village, there lived a man named Madhav. He was a simple soul who spent his days collecting alms from the kind-hearted villages. One afternoon, a generous neighbour named Govind handed him a large clay pot overflowing with fine barley flour. "Take this, Madhav," Govind said with a smile. "It is enough to keep you fed for many weeks." Madhav thanked him profusely, his mind already beginning to whirl with the possibilities of such a treasure. When Madhav returned to his humble hut, he did not eat the flour. Instead, he tied a sturdy rope round the neck of the pot and hung it from the ceiling beam directly above his bed. He lay down on the string cot, staring up at the pot. "If a famine comes to the land," he whispered to himself, "this pot of flour will be worth a fortune. I shall not be a poor man much longer." As his eyes drifted shut, a grand vision took hold. In his dream, a great drought had struck the village, and the granaries were empty. Madhav saw himself standing in a bustling marketplace, where a wealthy merchant named Dhani approached him, clutching a heavy silk pouch. "I will give you 100 silver coins for that pot of flour," Dhani cried. In his dream, Madhav smiled and accepted the silver, feeling the weight of the coins in his hand. With his newfound wealth, Madhav's dream grew even bolder. "I shall buy a pair of goats," he decided. In the vision, the goats multiplied quickly, turning into a vast flock that filled the green hillside. He saw himself walking among them, a shepherd of great importance. One particular baby goat skipped towards him, and Madhav laughed, realizing that soon he would trade the goats for something even better. The dream moved forward like a rushing river. Madhav traded his goats for cows and buffaloes, becoming the most successful milk merchant in the province. He built a magnificent mansion with marble floors and sprawling gardens. He saw himself walking through the golden corridors with his wife Kamala. She wore a shimmering sari and gold ornaments that jingled as she walked, and they looked out over their vast estate with pride. Soon, the halls of the mansion were filled with the sound of tiny feet. Madhav and Kamala had a son named Suman. Madhav watched with a heart full of joy as the boy grew into a curious and energetic child. In his dream, Madhav sat on a plush velvet rug, watching Suman crawl towards a bowl of sweets. "He is the light of my life," Madhav thought, "but he is quite a handful." One afternoon, while Madhav was resting, Suman began to climb towards the heavy shelves in the library. Madhav called out to him, but the boy was too busy playing to listen. "Suman, come away from there!" Madhav shouted in his dream. The boy giggled and kept climbing. Madhav, losing his patience, decided he must give the boy a gentle kick to get his attention and teach him to obey. In the real world, Madhav's leg jerked violently upwards as he acted out his dream. His foot struck the hanging pot with a loud crack. The pot shattered and the entire contents poured down like a white waterfall. Madhav sat up with a start, his eyes wide. There was no mansion, no Kamala, and no Suman. There was only Madhav, sitting on his old bed, completely covered from head to toe in white barley flour. The sound of the breaking pot brought Govind running to the hut. He poked his head through the door and saw Madhav standing in the middle of the room, looking like a ghost made of flour. What happened, my friend? Govind asked, trying to hide his laughter. Madhav sighed, the white dust puffing out from his lips. I built a kingdom in the clouds, Madhav admitted, and I kicked it all away. Madhav spent the rest of the evening cleaning up the mess. He realized that while it was fine to have dreams, they were no substitute for hard work and the reality of the present. As he swept the last of the flour from the floor, he looked at his empty hands and smiled. Tomorrow he would go back to the village, not as a wealthy merchant or a king, but as a man ready to earn his way one step at a time.